Good Friday morning, and thanks for joining us from the Ohio AgNet, the voice you know with the news you trust studio, sponsored by the Grain Equipment Company, where innovation meets execution. I'm Joe Everett. Well, currently 16 degrees outside here at the farm this morning, and it looks like our high today will be in the low 30s, but as we move through the weekend, we'll see some warmer temperatures. We'll have a full forecast update for you shortly. Looking at the calendar, on Wednesday's midday show, Matt Reese visits with Lorain County soybean producers Eric and Adele Flynn to discuss their involvement with Grow Next Gen, a project of Ohio Soybean Council and the Soybean Checkoff. Tune in to learn more. Well, the USDA is boosting support for farmers facing crop setbacks by announcing an increase in replant payments for most producers beginning with the 2026 crop year. This initiative will provide financial assistance to farmers who need to replant insured crops damaged by early insurable causes of loss. The enhancement in replant payments underscores the risk management agency's commitment to sustain agricultural productivity and economic stability, says RMA Administrator Marcia Bunger. Replant payment factors have not been updated since they were established in the 1990s. RMA reviewed replant payment factors to ensure they will reflect current replanting cost. The agency determined most small grains and coarse grain crops will receive a significant increase. RMA will announce the new replant payments with additional crop insurance improvements in the summer of 2025. Now let's check in for an update from Dusty Sonnenberg.
Let's get another industry update from the National Farm Broadcasters Convention, where Dale had a chance to visit with Julie Potts of the Meat Institute, talking about the importance of developing leadership in young people.
Leadership, understanding that everywhere you are, you have a leadership potential. Leadership is kind of underrated. I think when you're going through school, you're getting a lot of technical expertise. You're learning about the work world. But I think that to distinguish yourself as you're coming out of school in any industry, but particularly in food and agriculture, because we are small, it's demonstrating that you have the capacity to make decisions, to use good judgment, and to say what you want. I want to move up in this role or that role, and you can lead from wherever you are. I think that a focus on communication, whether it's internal to a job that you currently are in, working across in a big operation, working across different departments, or communicating up and down, your reportability, your chain of command, if you will. Very, very important to be a good writer and verbally to be a good oral communicator.
To hear Dale's full interview with Julie, check out the featured audio at ohioagnet.com.
Thanks, Dusty. Well, John Deere has announced another round of layoffs that is scheduled at its plant in Iowa. The facility in Waterloo Works, Iowa, is the company's largest plant. The State Workers Adjustment and Retaining Notifications website says the company will lay off more than 100 workers effective on January 5th, 2025. It's the sixth round of layoffs by Deere in Waterloo, Iowa, a focal point for tractor manufacturing. It's cut a total of more than 1,000 workers as farm income projections for 2025 lag, depressing demand for new equipment. Deere's Waterloo operation currently has 4,700 total employees, with about 2,700 working in production and maintenance jobs, according to the company. As we recently said in our fourth quarter earnings report, difficult market conditions will result in lower demand for our equipment, with net income down $3 billion in this fiscal year 2024, says Deere. We need to continue making adjustments to remain globally competitive, said John Deere. While most fertilizer prices remain higher, 7 of the 8 major fertilizers were higher in price compared to a month ago. No fertilizer had a sizable price increase or decline. DTN designates a significant move as anything 5% or more. The 7 slightly higher fertilizers are DAP, which had an average price of $740 per ton, MAP at $811 per ton, 1034O at $611 per ton, anhydrous at $718 per ton, UAN 28 at $323 per ton, and UAN 32 at $364 per ton. One fertilizer was slightly less expensive than a month ago. Potash had an average price of $443 per ton compared to last month. Stay tuned, we'll be back to take a look at today's weather after this.
Did you know soybeans' #1 customer is animal agriculture? That includes Ohio's dairy farms. High oleic soybeans have long been highlighted for their use in human food, but it can also be a benefit for dairy cows. Research shows it helps boost milk fat concentration and milk fat yield. That means more profitability. Soybeans, feeding the industry that feeds us. Brought to you by Ohio soybean farmers and their checkoff.
Since 1926, Nationwide has been rooted in agriculture. Founded as the Farm Bureau Mutual Automobile Insurance Company with a mission to protect farmers and their communities, we honor our legacy by offering solutions that evolve with the complex needs of today's farms. As the leading insurer of America's farms and trusted by 8 farm bureaus for 100 years and counting, Nationwide is on your side. #1 insurer based on 2023 direct written premium per AM Best. Nationwide Mutual Insurance Company and affiliates, Columbus, Ohio.
Now let's take a look at today's weather, and as we head into the weekend, brought to us by Seed Consultants. Simply better performance online at seedconsultants.com. Here's the forecast.
Cold air in here to finish the week, but I do see signs of improvement. I'm Chief Meteorologist Ryan Martin. Let's take a look at that Ohio ag weather update after the Arctic front blasted through Wednesday night, and we had to deal with lake effect off and on, especially in some parts of the state yesterday. It's a much more calm Friday for us. High pressure, Arctic high pressure is sitting right on top of us, so it is still cold, but I think we're going to be seeing all this other stuff diminish. We'll see better sunshine potential for your Friday. Moving into the weekend, not as cold, especially by Saturday afternoon, and Sunday is flat out mild. We should see decent sunshine both days, although clouds on the increase late as Sunday. Moisture coming up from the southwest, a weather system building in east to Texas as we go through the weekend, lifting across the mid-Mississippi River Valley Sunday, midday, and afternoon. That's going to throw moisture into Ohio overnight, Sunday night through Monday, starting in southwest Ohio first, spreading across the rest of the state from there. I think we can pick up anywhere from 1/10 to 3/4 of an inch of liquid equivalent. I also feel that most of it is going to be liquid by the time the cold air gets here on Tuesday. I think moisture's done. We are then cooler for the rest of the week. As a matter of fact, I'm seeing temperatures fall off a little bit more than what we were seeing a few days ago. So chilly for Tuesday through Friday before temperatures moderate again next weekend, Saturday and Sunday, with rain coming back maybe Monday the 16th. I'm Chief Meteorologist Ryan Martin.
Hey, thanks, Ryan. Well, the USDA says 2024 will be the second year in a row of falling crop prices and slim profits. How long will this trend continue? Gary Crawford from the USDA has more.
Falling crop prices, shrinking profit margins, or no profits at all. This has been the trend since 2022. So when is this going to turn around?
And it's a tough question. I mean, it's a natural question, but it's a tough question. And I don't have a good answer.
But we'll take this answer anyway from USDA's chief economist, Seth Meyer. He says in years when farm income turns really good,
what happens is you get this confluence of forces which add a shock and give you a short price run until the market resolves itself, right? Whether that's a series of combined supply shocks from weather around the world, or whether it's a war, or whether it's some other event that comes along and knocks us off this path of narrow margins. So I don't know how long it's going to last. But if you look back in time, these narrow margin periods are more common than 2022 type years by far.
Meyer says that's why smart producers set aside money during the good times to have when times are not so good. Gary Crawford reporting for the U.S. Department of Agriculture.
Hey, thanks, Gary. Well, ethanol production is down from its record high. The Energy Information Administration says ethanol output fell from the record high while inventories increased in the 7 days ending on November 29th. Production declined to an average of 1.073 million barrels a day last week. The agency says that it's down from its record 1.119 million the previous week, and that was the lowest level since October 11th. In the Midwest, output averaged 1.014 million barrels a day, down from 1.048 million barrels the week prior, and is the lowest in the region since October 18th. The Gulf Coast production plunged to an average of 22,000 barrels a day from 34,000 barrels the previous week. East Coast output held steady during the week at 12,000 barrels a day, and the Rocky Mountain production was steady at 15,000 barrels a day. The only rising output was in the West Coast, averaging 10,000 barrels a day, up from 9,000 barrels the previous week. Inventories have risen to 23 million barrels. 2024 has been interesting in the beef market. Lance Zimmerman, a beef analyst for Rabo Research says demand remains high despite tighter supplies and higher prices.
Right now, when we talk about the cattle and beef markets, we're in a unique place. The beef cow herd's in 5 years of decline because of drought and other challenges we've seen. Consumer beef demand is actually 5% higher than last year, and the highest it's been at any point since 1986. And so even with the pressures that we all talk about on consumers today, beef's been really resilient, and that's allowed the cattle markets to be stronger.
Other countries are beginning to imitate the U.S. in feeding their cattle grain for a longer period.
And I think one of the biggest things that we see in the U.S., unlike a lot of other beef-consuming countries around the globe, our system is grain-fed and long grain-fed at that. And so there are other countries that are leaning more into grain-fed, obviously Brazil, Mexico, even Australia.
Again, that was Lance Zimmerman, and he is with Rabo Research. Stay tuned. We'll be back with the grain analysis in your overnight markets after this.
Watch your step, Ohio. Winter weather is here, so let's keep your team from slipping on the job. Make sure to examine your work areas daily and clear hazards that could result in a potential fall. Hoses, cords, buckets, farm tools, and equipment can all pose a problem. As the days get darker, you'll want to replace any poor lighting, too. Keep walkways and entrance areas clear, dress for the weather, and stay safe and warm. This safety tip brought to you by the Ohio Bureau of Workers' Compensation. Visit pwc.ohio.gov for more safety resources.
Get the equipment and trucks you need at Ritchie Brothers' next Great Lakes Regional event on December 11th and 12th. This absolute unreserved auction will feature online bidding, and items are located in Columbus, Chicago, and Detroit. Choose from close to 5,000 items, including a wide selection of construction equipment, truck tractors, and more. Don't miss Ritchie Brothers' Great Lakes Regional event on December 11th and 12th. For more details, visit rbauction.com. Again, that's rbauction.com.
It's now time for the Louis Dreyfus Grain Analysis, and that's brought to you by the Ohio Soybean Council and your soybean checkoff. Here's Ryan Martin.
Grain markets weaker at midweek on a Wednesday as we finished out the day looking at South American weather, which is pretty decent. Actually, yesterday we saw more moisture starting to pop up in Argentina on certain computer models, and that just continues to give a lot of credence to thought process that the crop in South America is going to be large at this point. We also did not see much come on the demand side of things either. Wheat is reducing the bullish confidence in corn and soybeans. March beans did hold contract lows so far, but the ongoing weakening basis in Brazil is slowing U.S. export demand. U.S. and Chinese crush margins have dropped here in recent weeks. The Board of Trade declined on the Chinese soybean import demand shifting to South America. And remember, yesterday in that tit-for-tat Chinese ban retaliation thing on rare metal trade into the U.S., it was the background as trade politically festers into a bigger and bigger issue, not expected to go away when the new administration comes in after the turn of the year. We did have a flash reported sale yesterday, but it was only on soy oil, 30,000 metric tons of soy oil to South Korea. However, noteworthy because it's the first sale of soy oil to South Korea for the 24-25 crop year. It tells you where the price is relative to the attractiveness of world buyers. Weekly ethanol production, 315 million gallons, down 14 million week on week, but equal to last year. Stocks rose by about 6 million gallons. Now, ethanol stocks now build seasonally due to slower driving seasons, but it's too early to tell whether we have to adjust ethanol's corn demand up or down on the supply and demand report. Crude oil also turned lower yesterday on inventories falling 5 million barrels from the previous week. Really grasping at straws here on news headlines for the Wednesday. Maybe we see a little bit of a bump from a weekly export sales report today. I doubt it. I'm Ryan Martin.
Hey, thanks, Ryan. Now let's take a look at your overnight markets brought to us by Seed Consultants. Simply better performance online at seedconsultants.com. Well, things are in the red in Chicago. Let's start off with December corn, 426, down a half. March corn, 434 3/4, down a quarter. January soybeans, 989 1/4, down 4 1/2. March soybeans, 994 1/2, down 4 1/2. December wheat, 546 3/4, no change. Now looking at livestock from yesterday's close, December live cattle 186.97, down $1.40. February live cattle 186.32, down $2. December lean hogs 82.42, down 7 cents. February lean hogs 86.35, no change. March feeder cattle 253.60, down $2.10, and April feeder cattle 254.62, down $2.07. Have a great day, everyone. This is the Ohio AgNet.